Hi, and welcome to Origin of Concepts. In this episode, I will show you where to find the inspiration source for the people who built the character Thor from Norse mythology. The guy up here. Thor is the Norse god related to thunder and storms, and protector of humanity and the god's realm, Asgard. He is Odin's red-haired, hot-headed son with the magical hammer Mjolnir, which was used to fight the giants. And then I don't think he needs more introduction. Unlike the rest of Norse mythology, Thor is a character made with inspiration from the Milky Way center. So let's jump to the Milky Way. Thor is basically visualized by the disk, the hot head, and the striped shadow, his red hair. And let me illustrate here. This is the head of Thor, and then the striped shadow here is his red beard, or red hair. Hair is hair. So this is the main aspects which concentrate about Thor. And then the rest of the Milky Way, of course, is used, the aspects here is used to all his skills and stuff like that. But let's move on and see what we can find. Thor is described as red-bearded with sparkling eyes and a mighty voice. And we already know that his red beard is the striped shadow here. And the sparkling eyes is, of course, the eye here, which is basically the entire Milky Way center. This is his sparkling eye. Okay. And then we got his mighty commanding voice, because that's mentioned, in the Eddas. He got a mighty voice. And the voice from Thor comes from Thor's mouth here. This is the great mouth in the Milky Way center. And we're just following the shadows here. And his voice is, of course, the striped shadow emanating from the center of the mouth. So this is the Thor's mighty voice. Let's move on to Thor's residence. Thor's residence, Bilskirnir, that's the name, which meaning the lightning gap or lightning valley, is the areas around the striped shadow, of course, here. Because this is the two mountain sides here on each side, and the valley here is the striped shadow. And this striped shadow is also the lightning. So that's the lightning valley where Thor lives, in the center of the Milky Way, of course. The residents have 540 rooms, which are represented by the lines in the striped shadow. So this is all the rooms here, the stripes. There's not 540, but it's just, a way to say many rooms. Maybe 530 have a meaning, I really don't know. But the Christians who, like to convert the Norse mythology into Christian terms, they love to use numbers for everything. Okay, but it's not important to understand the origin of the concepts. And inside his residence, there's also a gigantic hall. And this hall is, of course, visualized by the arch here. This is the hall inside the Milky Way center, with the great arch ceiling. So here you got the hall in Thor's residence. All right, let's move on, because Thor is related to thunder and lightning and storm. And you already know that the lightning is the striped shadows here. And this is basically also the storm. So it's playing both roles. And then the entire Milky Way center here looks like a giant thunderstorm. So that's why Thor is related to thunder. And we can go a step deeper, because thunder is not the thunder, when it's raining and bad weather here on Earth. Thunder is basically an old term for expression, like God's voice or God's speech, that's the thunder, thundering. He's got a loud voice because he got a message, And then, things evolved, and yeah, people go into dogmas and folklores and stuff like that. But that's the original term of thunder, and which have been used to name the thunder, Donna. Okay, let's move on, because Thor also got some equipment. He got some gloves, and the name of the gloves is Jerngripper, which means iron grippers, gloves who can grip the hot iron, which is the dark shadows here on both sides of the Milky Way center. And here we got the hot iron, of course, but there's more. Now we got the gloves, and the glowing iron is, of course, the striped shadow here. This is the iron rod, the red iron getting glowing in the oven. I don't even know what the name is for this. It's a special oven, to heat up. But that's also the Milky Way center, of course. Okay, so here we got his gloves. And then Thor also got the belt of strength. And the belt of strength, Megingod, is formed by the dark shadows surrounding the center of the Milky Way. And let me visualize it for you here. This is his belt. And then we can do something like that. Just follow the shadows here. Something like that. And of course, in the middle of the belt, we got the belt buckle, or the emblem, and I always think about, when world championship in boxing, for example, they win this kind of belt, and that's the belt of Thor, of course. And then the belt also got a belt tip, or other belts, which is the striped shadow here. This is the belt tip. And this is not so important in Norse mythology, but the Knights Templars used this special way, to close the belt, and then they put the snip winding downwards. And it's also in the belt of truth in the biblical mythology. So here we got the strength belt of Thor. And now we come to a very exciting thing, because Thor also got his hammer. Thor's hammer. Yeah, the famous hammer. And Thor's hammer is the shadows that encircle the center of the Milky Way. And the very short shaft is the striped shadow. And let me draw it for you here. This is the head of the hammer. And here you got the very short shaft, as it is described in the Poe's Edda, I think. And then you think, but that doesn't look like the jewelry or, the symbolism of Thor's hammer. And, I got the same thought. But before I show you where to find this symbol, you need to know that Thor's hammer was also so small that it could be in a pocket. And let me show you the pocket. Because the outlines here is the pocket. And not only in Norse mythology, but also in other mythologies. So that's the pocket. The hammer is so small it can be in the pocket. Okay, but let me try to draw the Thor's hammer as you know it, which is in the hanging around your neck. Because it's what they did was to cut off the two ends, so to speak, of the Milky Way. And then they followed the shadows up here and made like a rooftop. And then they just followed the outlines here. But wait, where is the vertical the vertical shaft of the hammer? It is, of course, the striped shadow here. And how do I know? I know because at the end of the shaft, or on the top of the shaft, let me draw it here so people can. It looks like this, the hammer, because it's upside down when you wear it on your neck. It's something like this here. And in here we got a special symbol. And up here on the top you got like the eagle. I don't know how to make an eagle, but I'll try. We'll just do like this here. And let me show you the eagle, because the eagle is standing on the tip of Thor's hammer here. And the eagle is right here. The beak is here. And here is the head. And here is the bird. And it's standing, its feet is right on the spot here. It's standing here. And it's got an eye here somewhere. So here you got the eagle or raven or whatever, the bird, standing on top of the shaft of Thor's hammer. And what about this special, it's actually a hole sometimes. And this hole is, of course, the hole in the Milky Way center here, the disc, the golden light, the spirit. So you can't see it, so they made a hole. Or they made like ornaments, like a whirlwind going into the spirit hole. Okay, if you want to know more, you can go watch my Thor's Hammer or Mjolnir video. So let's move on with Thor. Because Thor drives around in the iron-wheeled chariot. And Thor's chariot is the disc here, which is the iron wheel. And this is, by the way, the chariot in every single myth around the world. The goats that pulls the chariot is the two pairs here of the striped shadow. And this also plays the roles as reindeers, Santa Claus in front of Santa Claus, horses, goats, you name it, whatever, pulling a chariot. And, I actually made a video about that, Thor's goat. Go watch it and get the details. And when Thor is riding across the sky, lightning bolts leap from his chariot. And this is also visualized by the striped shadow. This is the lightning from the wheel when he's driving across the heavens. And yeah, Thor's killing of giants. That's the next topic here. The giants, when we talk about a single giant, it's always built on aspects of the Milky Way center, and mostly the upper part, this area, because they are gigantic, But when the Edda is mentioned, giants as more when Thor kills them, they are represented by the striped shadow here. So this is the giants Thor is fighting or killing. And then Thor prefers to walk over land and through rivers when he goes to the gods' council at the foot of Yggdrasil. Okay, so let us take it backwards. Yggdrasil is the entire Milky Way center. This is the tree, world tree. You can go watch my Yggdrasil video to get more info. And the council Thor visits every day of gods is, of course, the striped shadow here. This is the council with all the gods, planning the next step in the god schedule. And what else do we got here? We got, of course, he prefers to walk over land and through rivers. And the striped shadow here is always the land with the trees and with the vegetation and stuff like that. And it's also the river. So it's both. So now we just need to find Thor walking. And this is, I'll make it up again here. So this is the land and the gods' council and the river. Okay. And then we have Thor, because the entire Milky Way center here is the giant foot. Just follow the outlines of the shadows here. So this is Thor walking over land and over rivers, to reach the council. Odin liked to ride on Sleipnir, the horse with 8 legs. Okay, then let's move on to Thor's fishing trip, because Thor likes to fish after big worms. uh, you know, Thor and Hymer is taking a boat to go fishing, and then Thor catch the Midgard worm. Thor tears off the head of Hymer's biggest ox to use it as a bait. So let's find the ox. To find the ox head, I have to draw the entire ox here. Because the head is not that visual because of the dark shadow, but it's there. So here we got the ox head, and here of course we got the rest of the ox. So this is the ox, but we only need the head. Oh, that was one too much. Here, there. And Thor, rip off the head here to use it as bait. And when they are on open sea, Thor throws the ox head into the water, and he uses the anchor as the hook. And the anchor is, of course, the entire Milky Way center here, and the top of the anchor, we could do like this, is the striped shadow. So this is the ox head, on the anchor. And what else do we got here? Let me see. Thor gets the Midgard serpent or Midgard worm on the hook and tighten his belt of strength. I can't say that word, sorry. Strength. Yeah, strength. And put his legs through the boat so that he stands on the sand of the seabed. Okay, let's take a look at that. Okay. The seabed is, of course, the boat is the shadows that surrounds the entire Milky Way center here. Let me check it. The color here. This could be the boat seen from upside down. And then he take his leg. It's already it's the foot here. I'll take another color. Sorry, I mess up here. This is his foot. So, and he's standing on the seabed, and this is the sand on the seabed. This is always the sea, this bluish area above the disc. So here you see how he is standing, and the boat got like 2 views depending on which story, because the boat generally is the striped shadow here. That's the boat, the Viking boat, with all the oars and some shields on the side. But in this case, it could also be the big boat, which is the entire Milky Way center here. So he is standing through the boat. Okay, enough of fishing trip here. And then of course, I need to show you the Midgard worm. Because, it surrounds the entire world and bit itself into the tail. And then many people think, oh, that's the Milky Way around the Earth. No, it's not. Because the entire myth is always within the Milky Way center. It's never exceeding that area. So, and in the Milky Way center, the Earth is basically this area here. It's the land, the shore, and the sea, as I showed you before. And then we got the Midgard worm, which is, the head is the same head as the ox here, the dragon head. And it's not easy to draw it, but it's like laying around the earth. And then it bits itself in the tail. And let me show you how that works, because this is the big mouth here. And I really don't know how to draw it. Now I just try something here. But this is the mouth of the... Let's try to do it like this. Yeah, and some cheese. Then you can't. And then it comes all the way around here, And then the dark shadow here is the tail. Something like that. So this is the Midgard worm. Yeah, that's not that bad. And just to finish it off, this is the water. It's surrounding the entire world here behind. Okay, I made or I come up with a detailed video about the Midgard worm, but this should be enough to understand the idea. And then the last thing to finish off the Thor myth is that Thor dies at the Midgard Serpent's poison at Ragnarok. And the poison of the Midgard worm, let me go a little back here, is of course the disk here in the Milky Way center. The red poisonous light from the Midgard worm. Okay, that's all. Now you know where to find Thor, and there's, many more stories. But if you want me to you can pick out, a text or whatever you like in the Eddas, and you can leave a comment here, and I can make a video or a comment where I give the details. So it's just a challenge. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you for watching. It's much appreciated. So until next video, take care. Bye.